Namaste. This is Abhinav Prakash. Welcome to my blog. Well, we are all seeing what is happening in America, and it is quite interesting to see that the country which used to preach everyone and whose commentators, journalists, politicians would preach everyone about the virtue of democracy, who will find, that democracy is danger in every part of the world, fail to see what is happening in their own country. I mean, after all, for the last 6 years, the papers like New York Times were more concerned about democracy in India than the democracy in America. But what it has also brought out is a very interesting phenomenon among a section of the Indian population who are saying that, what has happened to Trump, the manner that he has been removed by people's protest, which is basically they mean all those Black Lives Matters and Antifa kind of anarchy. We will do the same to Modi, and BJP will also be thrown out of power in India. Many people are commenting, saying that, well, you see, what if the BJP lose in 2014? Will they leave power, or do we have to fight for it? Should we prepare for that kind of a fight? Because apparently the prime minister and the ruling party in India are fascist, they are Nazis, they are authoritarian, they are not the one who believe in democracy. So they cannot be trusted with leaving the power peacefully, or they cannot be trusted with the peaceful transition of power. Now, my point is that what is the basis of this kind of fear mongering? Is there any material evidence? Is there any historical evidence or precedent that the BJP has behaved in such a manner? Remember, you are talking about a party which is a very old party of India, BJP, and in its previous avatar as Janasangh. Now, you may not like the party, you may disagree with its ideology, you may not like the leaders out there, perhaps because of any reason, maybe just because you don't like them. You're not required to give any reason in a democracy not to like a politician or a political party. But even that, remember, this is an old party which has been sitting in the opposition, patiently working through the democratic means to contest elections, to win elections. It has risen from that level when it did not even win a single seat in the municipal election to getting full majority in the parliament. It is a journey which is decades long. Give me any incident when this party has said that we will not play by the democratic rules, that we will not fight election, or that we're going to use street power or violence to gain power. And this is important because the people who raise these allegations or do this kind of fear mongering are either the member of the left parties in this country, or their cadre who are in media or academia, or their fellow travelers. When it is the communist parties of India who have been doing the same thing. They waged war against India when India became independent, saying that we refuse to accept this independence. It is much later that they decided to come and participate in the parliamentary process. And even today, the left wing terrorism in India, the CPI Maoist, is among the top deadliest terror organizations in the world, much more deadly than the Islamist groups in Jammu and Kashmir. They don't believe in democracy. We've seen that the communist parties don't believe in democracy in Nepal. They waged a guerrilla war, and it's only after when the war reached a stalemate, then they decided to say, well, there's no option left, but let's go and join the political process. Those are the people who will not leave power, who do not believe in democracy, and they are the one who put allegations on other political parties in India that they are authoritarian. Remember, they are saying these things for BJP today, but they used to just say the same thing for the Congress before the rise of the BJP. So never fall for this kind of confusion. Just because you don't like BJP does not mean that you have to make a common cause with the communists or the Maoists in this country. And then what is the your basis of this kind of fear mongering? BJP has lost several elections. It has peacefully accepted the result. In 1996, we have seen, after 1996, the Prime Minister Vajpayee lost election, sometime by 1 vote, sometime by 13 votes. The BJP as a party accepted that verdict. It was the largest party in the parliament, but it was sitting in the opposition peacefully. Even after 2014, you see, BJP has lost elections in so many states: Bihar, Delhi, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, you name it. Did it ever say that we will not abide by the democratic mandate, that we will go and do street violence, that we will not leave power? In Maharashtra, BJP is the largest party as we speak. It's still, but it is sitting in the opposition. Is it on the street doing anarchy and violence? Then what is your basis of this fear mongering? That you see, well, will the BJP leave power if it gets defeated in the election? What is the basis really of this kind of fear mongering? What are you trying to do in this country by this kind of fear mongering? And then you say, well, the government is authoritarian, the democracy is being threatened. How is democracy being threatened with the rise of the BJP? Just because the BJP is winning election, just because this party is going to different states where it was not present before and putting up a political challenge to the incumbents there, is that a threat to democracy? Is democratic process a threat to democracy? On what basis are you saying these things? If BJP is going into West Bengal, if BJP is going into Kerala, to the Tamil Nadu, if BJP is expanding into Jammu and Kashmir, how is that threat to democracy? You should welcome that because that is increasing political competition. It is disrupting the status quo, and you should be responding to it. If you are an opponent, a political opponent of the BJP, you should take it. You should welcome this change. That now democracy is becoming vibrant because same party keep winning election after election in a state is not a hallmark of the strength of the democracy. And from north to south, you see the BJP members are the one who are getting killed. They are getting killed in Bengal by the opposition, by the ruling party. They are getting killed in Kerala by the ruling party. The Muslims, the Kashmiri Muslims who joined the BJP in Jammu and Kashmir are killed with impunity. For what? Because they want to join a political party, that they want to contest election, and they want to join or do mainstream politics in this country. Is that threat to democracy or the BJP threat to democracy? What is really your definition of threat to democracy? And what is this whole thing of authoritarianism? What do you mean by authoritarianism? That parliament should make law by asking people on the street? Then we may very well dismantle the entire parliament system itself and let's have a mob rule in this country, because we certainly can't have a direct democracy in this country with 1.53 billion people. That might work in Switzerland, but not in such a large country. India is a parliamentary democracy, but now we are being told that parliament making law is fascism. Parliament making laws is Nazism. Parliament making laws is threat to democracy or is authoritarianism. For goodness sake, give us a break. If parliament cannot make laws, then who can make laws? The thugs on the streets? Like we have seen in the case of anti-CA protest, where there were stone pelting and violence throughout the country. In several cities, there were massive stone pelting. People were killed for supporting CAA. Bengal was burning for days. A sitting member of parliament was target of an attack, failing which they hacked his aide. They are going to make the laws of this country, or the parliament is going to make the law of this country. Just because you do not have majority any longer does not mean that democracy has collapsed and then you are going to say parliament do not have the right to make laws. Wait for a few years. It is possible that you might come back to power in the same parliament. You might have the majority, maybe not 5 years later, maybe 10 years later. But what is the basis of this fear mongering? Because this kind of fear mongering spoils, it poisons the entire political discourse in this country. You say, well, now the BJP or BJP supporters are calling you urban Naxals, or they're calling you anti-national, and see how bad it is, or how uh, how much intolerance has increased. But you yourself, for decades, have been calling the same party Nazi, fascist, bigot, with all kind of names. Even today, you call the party with the same name. It does not take much for you to call anyone who supports the party with a Nazi or a fascist. Is that not demonization? Is that not intolerance? How come that is okay, but the BJP calling you urban Naxal or international is not okay? So this kind of poisonous discourse in India should be put an end to, because this is something we cannot afford as a diverse country, as a multi ethnic country, as a multi religious country. We cannot afford this kind of intolerance, like the kind which we're seeing in the American body politics, driven mainly by the left wing. Remember what these crazy people of the supporters of the Trump did was nothing as compared to what the Black Lives Matters or Antifa have been doing for years in America. Open attacks on the public property, private property. They tried to storm the White House and Capitol as well. They failed. That's a different matter. Now, no one can support that someone is barging into the Congress or the Senate or the Parliament, let's say, in Indian keys. But the point is that why did we reach that point in America? And are we doing the same thing in India by this kind of poisonous discourse? When you have the largest democratic political party in the world and you cannot tolerate it, you call it evil. You say that we should overthrow it. You say that we should make sure that the government cannot even pass laws. You say that you invite foreign intervention, for goodness sake. Then what democratic credentials do you have? And this is something the people on the other side need to think about, and they need to answer. Because certainly this is not how that Indian politics can work. And for goodness sake, get over your delusions that you are going to defeat Modi, by adopting similar tactics like Black Lives Matters or Antifa in America. Now, Trump was a crazy person. Modi is nothing like Trump. There is no comparison between the Trump and the Modi. In the case of coronavirus, tell me a single incident where Prime Minister Modi said any irrational thing like Trump, any unscientific tick like Trump. Did he do anything which went against the advice of the doctors and the scientists? Not a single thing. From the day one, he has been asking people to wear mask, and that is the main reason why India has not suffered that much in India in this pandemic, because people started wearing masks and the corona cases started dipping in the country. And the PM Modi has been urging people since the day one to do this simple thing, which people like Trump were not doing in America and in other parts of Europe as well. But then again, in that case also, the narrative is that somehow this government is anti-science. It's some kind of a medieval government which thinks anti science, which is irrational and so on. Again, what is the basis of that? So we have seen the articles which flooded the Western media at the start of the pandemic, that how millions of people are going to die in India, how the India is promoting cow urine, how India is doing all kind of these crazy things. The point is that all of that was blamed on the government, but the government was not doing any of those things. Or in all these articles, supposedly the Indian response to the pandemic, there was no response of the government even mentioned out there. These articles did not even quoted or talk to officers, the bureaucrats, the scientists, the doctors, no one who were working on the pandemic control. All they were doing was to find some stray people on the street or some fringe group here and there doing some crazy thing and presenting it in the international media as what Prime Minister Modi is doing or what India is doing under Hindu nationalist government. Whereas India's response to pandemic is one of the most scientific, most well-calibrated response in the world, much better than your Sweden or New Zealand kind of thing. And certainly Kerala model was a complete fail, that we know. Look at the numbers. The Kerala is completely gone. The cases are falling everywhere, but Kerala is going really, you know, on a disastrous route. Not something to be rejoiced at because those are our people. But the point is that propaganda cannot continue for long. One day, the propaganda will have to face the reality and that things become clear to the people. And you think that you are going to defeat Modi by writing op-eds in New York Times or calling for foreign intervention or asking for Imran Khan to be awarded Nobel Peace Prize? Just remember one thing: the Prime Minister Modi and the BJP are not getting votes because of, as you say, because of propaganda or hate mongering or because of WhatsApp University or media control. No, the people of this country are not dumb. They know what they're doing, they know why they're voting a political party. They're not idiots, they're not dumb people. They don't trust Republic and they don't trust NDTV as well. They know how to differentiate between news channels. Most of them watch news channels anyways at infotainment, if you ask them. They're voting for the party because they are benefiting under this government. As we speak, people, Prime Minister Modi is taking piped water supply to tens of millions of households in this country. Even in urban centers of this country, hardly 10-20% people have tapped water supply. Now the Prime Minister is taking the water supply, the water pipelines into the villages. And the progress is immense. Look at Assam, look at Bihar, where tens of millions of households have already been connected with the water supply, the piped water supply. And then when these people decide to vote for the party in 2024, then do not say that EVMs were being rigged. And this is what happened in 2019. Rural electrification, Ujjwala Yojana, all those kinds of massive public welfare scheme, which basically propelled the Prime Minister Modi to a bigger victory. And remember, the people of this country are not stupid. What Trump was doing in America, that elections are rigged, many people have been doing that in India since 2014. They refused to accept the legitimacy of 2014 mandate. They said elections were rigged because EVMs were rigged. They said they repeated the same lie again and again whenever the BJP won, even in 2019. They were instigating violence of the same kind which we see in America. Remember, these people who stormed the Senate, they actually believed that elections were rigged and they're fighting to save the democracy. Same attempt was happening in India for years, for past several years, that elections in India are rigged and that the mandate which the BJP or the Prime Minister Modi is getting is illegitimate. And we have to save the democracy. You failed. You failed because Indian public is politically much more mature, politically much more smart. So stop demonizing people just because they're not voting the political party you want or they don't think as you think. Because there's no reason why you are right and they are wrong. And this is what I want to say. Political discourse have to be much mature. It has to be much more grounded in the reality. You can't just go and start throwing random words at the political party in power, which is the world's largest democratic party. You can disagree with it. You can say, I completely disagree with this policy, with this ideology, but do not use those kind of hyperbole. That Nazism, fascism, if it were a Nazi party in power in India, then rest assured you'd not be sitting every day on the news channel and making fake allegations against the same party, right? So live in reality. You are still not under Chinese rule. Many of you desire to be in the Chinese rule, and this is an old desire. The chairman of China is our chairman. But rest assured, even today, you are living under the Republic of India, and there is no Nazi political party or fascist political party in the Republic of India as of yet. Thank you.